So, I hope you had a good sitting this morning. And so now we will continue our discussion from last night. And so the first thing that I would like to discuss here is the mindfulness. I guess it's always good to have some mindfulness. So, mindfulness is the key to training our mind, and mindfulness is something that we should try to have in everyday life. But at the same time, we must know that of course it is hard enough to have mindfulness even in a situation of silent sitting. And so therefore it is not easy at the beginning to bring mindfulness in our everyday life. But that's very common. And so one of the most important quality of mindfulness here is simply being present. Mindfulness is nothing but being present, being attentive to your experiences, being attentive towards your thoughts and experiences, and being attentive in the sense also of being slightly alert. And so therefore at the beginning it is helpful for us to have a reminder for mindfulness. We have to set a reminder for mindfulness, right? That's why in our meditation, we try to set a reminder saying when thoughts arise, then we will be mindful of our thoughts, right? But key to that success is when you set that reminder, isn't it? And the key to waking up in the morning is when you set your alarm clock in the evening, right? Or when you set your mind saying, I'm going to wake up at 5. Is that too early? Yes, for me, is it too early? For example, right? So that's the key for mindfulness, isn't it? That's the key to wakefulness. And the key here is setting that strong reminder to yourself. Say, this is my reminder. When the clock starts to ring, I'm going to wake up. Right? If you don't set that kind of a strong reminder there, then even when the clock is ringing, we're not getting up. Right? We try to kick the clock or press the snooze button. Thank God we have snooze button now. And we know it's going to ring again, right, after a few minutes. And it goes on until you fall asleep again and never wake up until it's too late. That's our normal trip, right? That's our normal trip with our thoughts, with our emotions, with our experiences. We wake up too late. So when we wake up too late, we try to rush out the door to our school or to our job, right? When you rush out in such a way, there's usually some problems. Either you forget a most essential point that you need to take that day, or you bump into some kind of accident on the way. That's great possibilities when you rush all the time. Sometimes rushing is okay, but if you're rushing in such a way every day, then it becomes a little bit dangerous to us and dangerous to others. And so therefore, key to mindfulness is set your mind to that reminder very firmly, decisively. So before you even sit down into shamatha, you have to say to yourself, when the thought arises, that's my reminder for mindfulness. That's the time you have to be attentive, alert, and come back to your breath. Right? That's a very important point for mindfulness. If you're successful in that, right, in your meditation practice, for setting this mindfulness reminder and using it, not only setting it, but you have to use it, isn't it? Sometimes we may have 5 alarm clocks that we buy and we think, this is not loud enough. Right? We need a louder one, a stronger one, a more efficient one. We get 5 alarm clocks. But if you don't use it, you're not going to wake up. Right? No matter how many alarm clocks you have, that's not going to make any difference. In the same way, how many meditation techniques you learn, how many meditation instructions we receive, right? If you don't employ that reminder, mindfulness, meditation is not going to bring you any calmness. It's not going to happen without mindfulness. There's no way we can train our mind without mindfulness. That's why we have to start here with mindfulness practice. And so therefore we have to set this strong, very determined mind. We have to set that determined mind saying, yes, I'm going to be aware, I'm going to be attentive, I'm going to have this as a reminder for me to wake up into the state of calmness. And once you set that reminder, then you use it in the meditation. We have to use it. Every thought, every emotions, when they arise, if they can be our reminder for mindfulness, or if they can be our reminder to bring back to our breath, our attention, then mindfulness is there. There's no problem. Once you're successful in that, then you can set any reminder in your life, in your daily life. And that will work just as meditation works. Life experiences, thoughts, emotions, the wild ride we have in our everyday life is going to become peaceful and full of joy with that mindfulness, So you can set any reminder in our everyday life. I usually tell this to my students that You have a digital watch now. We're using digital watch, and the digital watch beeps every hour. Right? You can make it beep every hour. And that can be your mindfulness beep. Right? That's a beep for your mindfulness. And you can say, when my watch beeps, I will make a pause. Look at my mind, look at my thoughts, look at my emotions. Try to have some peace, space here, and scan through your thoughts and emotions of the moment. Just be there in the present, and then continue. Continue shouting. If you're shouting, you continue to shout. You don't have to stop there. No problem. Right? The key point is being there, present, whatever you're doing. Right? Mindful. And so, in that process, you can set many reminders in your life. And once again, not only setting reminders, you have to use them, right? When it beeps, you have to look. You should not forget to look. And we should not forget to look. We have to try and look every hour. If you do that, that's a pretty good practice, pretty successful, right? In one day, we have been mindful for what? 12 times at least. Or if you stay up late, even more. Maybe 24 hours for some people. So that's very good practice in daily life. And there are so many reminders in your life that can be a great blessing for your mindfulness practice, such as stop signs. Isn't it? The stop signs. If you're driving, when you hit the stop sign, be happy. Don't be irritated. Right? When you hit the stop sign, say, oh, this is the time for me to stop and look inside. It's giving you a time to look at your mind, look at your thought, look at your emotion. Wonderful opportunity. It says stop. Great instruction for life, isn't it? Stop. What does the driving instructions tell us? Stop and look. Isn't it? What more, greater instructions we can get on meditation? I can't find any more, profound than that. That's what the meditation is saying. Stop and look. Right? Observe. Be mindful. Be alert. That's what the stop signs are telling us, isn't it? Same thing when you hit the red light, red traffic light. Same instruction is there, right? I think the traffic lights are great instructions. First you stop, then it turns into amber, yellow, right? That's the time, then you move from there, mindfulness, into busy, fast, speedy thoughts, emotion, drive, emotional drive. And so, first stop, look around, be aware, and then gently, when it comes to yellow, gently start to prepare to move. Then you continue your journey. When it's green, then you start shouting. Again, right? Don't stop. And so therefore in your life, in our everyday life, there's so much mindfulness instructions all around you. If we can employ them, if we can use them, we have enough reminders for mindfulness in our everyday life all around us. It becomes very beneficial, very helpful when we can use them properly. For example, One very good reminder to work with our emotion is you can set a reminder to such a situation as when somebody honks at you when you're driving. When someone honks at you, instead of looking out, we look in first. Right? That would be a very good reminder. I don't think we really like or enjoy being someone honking at you. But when that happens, set a reminder, say, I look in first. Look at my thought, my emotion. And then look out and you can shout at that guy and give your American mudra. Right? No problem, go ahead. If you're mindful, that's fine, So therefore, that's the key point. Being alert, being attentive, being present, and then continuing with our journey. That's the key point, important point. Then in every moment that we continue our journey, if you can remember mindfulness, then that's wonderful. So what is mindfulness here is not, mindfulness is not mindfulness is not living in the past with all the memories and thoughts of the past. And mindfulness is not living in the future with all kinds of anticipations. What is mindfulness is being fully present in nowness, in this moment. When you're present here, whatever experience is there in front of you, then that is mindfulness. It doesn't matter. That experience doesn't have to be something glamorous, virtuous, great positive deed. It doesn't have to. It can be any experience. It can be negative thought, like anger, jealousy, passion, obsession. All of these things are great object, great reminder for our practice of mindfulness. So therefore, we have to find our ways to reflect and rest within these experiences when they arise, because these experiences do not repeat. They only come once. And so the key point here is being able to recognize your thoughts, recognize your emotions when they are right there in front of you, when they are arising in that very moment. If you're present, then you're being mindful of that moment. You're being mindful of thought, you're being mindful of emotions, you're being mindful of the environment. Just be there. It is said that it's not really helpful to chase after that. If you miss that moment when it's gone into the past, then there's not much benefit for chasing after that. There's a Zen story that two monks were walking taking a journey, right? Then they come across this river, a stream that they had to cross. And at the riverbank, there was a young lady with leprosy, and she couldn't cross the river. And she asked the first monk, "Can you help me cross the river?" Then the monk reflected and said, "Well, the lady cannot really walk, so helping means I have to carry her. If I carry this young lady, it's not proper for my monastic discipline." And so he just bowed and continued walking. He didn't carry that lady. And then the second monk comes up to her. He just pick her up, walk across the water, and leave her there. And then they continue their journey. And after a while, the first monk told the second one, "How can you do this?" He says, "Do what?" "Carrying the woman." "How can you carry the woman? How could you carry?" And he said, "Well, I left her at the riverbank and you are still carrying her. I'm not carrying her anymore. You are the one who's still carrying her." That's what our everyday journey of emotion is like. That's what our everyday journey of disturbing emotions and thoughts are like. Right? Thoughts and emotions from themselves, they are like the second monk. They arise and they cease. What continues throughout is like the first monk. We are the one that's trying to drag on, continue this emotion, this thought. But we are trying to continue. But if you really look at the emotions itself, it just rises and ceases. Rises and ceases. They're not there bothering you all the time. And so therefore, mindfulness here is knowing how to observe it, how to see it clearly and let go. When it goes, let go. When it's there, be there. When it goes, let go. Don't hang on to it. Don't cling on to it. Don't fixate on it. Don't solidify. That's what we're doing all the time, So that's the key to our mindfulness here practice. Being present in that very moment. Experiencing it in a full as we can. And so, therefore, mindfulness practice is nothing but just being in present. That's what mindfulness is. And we are having a hard time to be present, isn't it? That's our problem. We're having a hard time to be in the present. It's much easier to be in the past or in the future. And that's why we have a saying, past is always golden. Our minds are always wandering in the past or in the future, never being here in the present. And so all these meditation techniques and practices we are learning are the techniques to bring our mind to the present. Bring our mind to the present. Bring our mind to the present through breathing technique, through shamatha with object outside, through any methods we use. These are the methods trying to bring our mind to nowness, in the space of nowness. And that experience, in that experience of nowness, then the emotions and thoughts do not really bother you anymore. It doesn't bother. If you can just experience as it is, as it arises and as it leaves. If you can see that, if you can experience that, they don't become a big problem for us. Right? No? Right. Usually, one of our main problems in the meditation is when we chase after these thoughts, when we chase after our emotions. When they are there in your meditation, it's not a problem. If you can observe it and let go, that's not a problem for your meditation. It's not obscuration. It's not obstacle. If you can experience it and let go, that's not an obstacle. Obstacle is when we chase after our thoughts, when we chase after our emotions. That becomes an obstacle to our meditation. That becomes an obstacle to our taming the mind. That becomes an obstacle for us to get into the training our mind process, the process of training our mind. And so therefore, mindfulness, being present, is a very important element at the beginning here. And so with such mindfulness, sometimes we talk about two things, mindfulness and awareness, right? There are different ways to look at mindfulness and awareness. One way is, I told you yesterday, mindfulness is like the rope and awareness is the pole where you tie this rope. Remember? Right? We catch our mind, a wild mind, which is like the wild horse with this rope. And then that rope, when it's tied to a pole, that pole is awareness. And the rope is the mindfulness. In some sense, awareness is the reference point of your mindfulness in this regard. Right? All these objects, all these environment that arises in your mind, that's in front of us, becomes the reference point for our mindfulness. Reference point. And that's called awareness, being aware of the environment and being aware of the space around you. Another way to look at the relation between mindfulness and awareness is that awareness is the continuity of mindfulness. Continuity. When you have the reminder set, through that reminder, then you become aware. Right? The reminder is mindfulness. And from that reminder, it brings awareness. So awareness is the continuation of that mindfulness. So that's our main, one of the first main practices here, mindfulness and awareness, which becomes important for us. And so now I would like to discuss about